Take up the broken sword of your father
and strike down the darkness.
Amen. Greetings, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Nick.
And we are the Gosslings, a digital speakeasy of free thinkers, Christian authors, explorers of the esoterica, and general purveyors of buffoonery.
That's right. We have an amazing interview and conversation for you. But if you would, first, it really, really helps us if you would take up the broken sword of your finger, strike down that subscribe button, and while you're down there, tinkle that bell.
Yeah, give that bell a gentle caress, or keep your YouTube pin pan strong and smack that bell. Smack it like it owes you money.
That's right. And if you've already done those things, well, first of all, thank you. But also, if you'd hit the like button, that would really, really help us because it shows the algorithm that you like this video and other people who have shared interest will also like it. That would help tremendously.
Yeah, that's right. Leave a comment, share it with your friends, send it to your enemies, do all the things.
That's right.
Who cares?
Who cares? And without further ado, here is this video's conversation and interview. We hope you guys enjoy it.
That's right. Vertical punch.
Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Gosslings interview live stream and podcast. The Gosslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Gosslings.
American Vindicta. Which do you think is inevitable? National divorce or civil war?
So how can you divide the two? They're the same.
Yeah.
The divorce happened a long time ago. I think as a veteran, the divorce happened with us with Iraq and Afghanistan.
Really?
When you lied your way into a war that my friends died in.
Yeah.
That we all got hurt in, that we all, have mental scars and physical scars. And you pissed off an entire generation of people who at one point in time were, we were all extraordinarily patriotic. I remember when, the Twin Towers fell. I remember the day it happened. I was, in school watching it. And, I went to Iraq twice as a Marine and then once as a contractor. And I thought I was doing, my patriotic service. And each time I came home, I felt a little disinterested until eventually I became a contractor and I realized, oh, I'm just a number. That's all we are. We're just convenient numbers on a whiteboard. I know, I've been there. I've seen that. I've been in a general's meeting where we were talking about how many casualties have we lost in the Victory Baghdad complex area. Well, lost this many. Well, they'll be replaced. And, I was just young, 23 or 24 years old. And I was like, oh my God, they don't care about us at all. I can be replaced immediately. So the breakdown of that mindset with the veterans who do not trust this government, and many veterans went on to become, like me, law enforcement. And because we knew nothing else. And not only that, but they said that we really weren't qualified to do anything else. So there's a huge group of disenfranchised, disgruntled veterans who are watching all this madness go on, who are also law enforcement, who are eventually going to have to come, like me, to a moral, ethical decision line in the sand. How long do I stay here and put up with this bullshit? And when do I eventually say, I'm not going to be in the Nuremberg trial, not for you guys, not for that flag, not for anybody, because what we were sold for of patriotism is dead. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's dead.
Yeah.
I love my country. I've seen that flag draped on coffins too many times. I love my country. I love my brothers that I fought with. However, I understand the system I've been a victim of the system. I understand what the ruling elite want to do, and I understand why they turn us against each other. They turn law enforcement against the people by saying, while you're in the academies and constantly, the public is who's going to kill you. The public's who's going to kill you. And so eventually we all just kind of, come to this mindset that when you put on the uniform and you're finally doing patrols, it's the people I'm policing. Those are the most dangerous people, not me, surely not me, right? So it's a you versus them mentality. And then you civilians see all the jackassery that's happening from bad cops and bad experiences, the abuse of the intelligence agency, the abuse of federal, state, and local law enforcement officials and government officials. And then the majority of we, the people, see the stolen election, and we sit back and we go, hold on, Jack. I think I'm being lied to. And I don't think you have my best interests at heart. So the divorce happened long time ago. AJ, Alex Jones, he knows about that divorce. That divorce happened long time ago. What is the flashpoint? What is the trigger mechanism? At one point in time, we honestly thought it was Portland, because there was a day I actually wasn't there just yet. I was rotating back home for R&R, and then I was rotating back into Portland, and this happened about a week before I was coming back in, because we were month on, month off, month on, month off, sometimes 2 months, 3 months on, 1 month off. I was over there for, God, I don't know how many months in a row. And I mean, anywhere between a 12 to a 20-hour day. So, guys were going insane at some point. And we saw Antifa on this side with guns. And then we saw the Patriot Prayer Group, or whatever, MAGA supporting group it was, on this side with guns. Guns pointed at them, guns pointed at them. And our guys were over here in the middle, guns pointed at everybody. And then our guys had the tactical inclination to draw themselves back inside the building.
Nice. Solid move. Yeah.
And if you idiots want to kill each other,
go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. We'll be here to sling iron onto you after you're kicking and screaming and writhing on the ground. We saw that, and we saw that multiple times. And we kind of asked ourselves, after Kenosha burned, man, we were pissed after Kenosha burned, because, lo and behold, SWAT team is standing there in their MRAPs, ready to roll through and start kicking ass. And they were told, don't do anything. Let them continue to riot and burn down private property. You have the right, as a law enforcement officer, to disregard unlawful commands. And by the way, since when was the mayor in your chain of command? When did law enforcement start taking orders from politicians? Sounds like a problem I've heard of back in the 1930s. So with this future civil war that will happen, it is going to happen. They want it to happen. And there's too many people in the zeitgeist right now who want it to happen. There's too many people in the radicalism, on the left, on the right, in the center, on the flat earth, on the hollow earth. It doesn't matter, who want this war to happen. Yet they don't know what they ask for, but they want it to happen. There are people who are romanticized with the Civil War. We'll right all the wrongs and we'll restart 1776. 1776 is dead. It's dead. Those people are dead. We are not those Americans anymore. Our founding fathers would not know what to do with the intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
A musket wouldn't defend you. The mechanics would not be able to assemble themselves across the country and spread information, because drones, right? And not only that, our government currently is more aggressive than the British government was. We're just not firing, privateers and muskets into the streets. It's coming, though. It's coming. There will come a day Well, there will be a flashpoint. We thought maybe January 6th was it, right? But there'll be a flashpoint where people will all gather in the area and they'll say, we're mad as hell and we're not taking this anymore. We're going to take matters into our own hands. How many times working in the federal government did I hear about, oh, this group now says they're planning a 1,000,000-man march. They're all going to get their guns and they're going to go to D.C. They're going to arrest all the senators and congressmen in Washington, D.C. And no one ever showed up and no one ever did anything. Because if you did, you're going to be met with a 5 million-man army. And that's going to be the National Guard, our military, and every police agency in the country. Now, regardless of whether or not you agree with that, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's what would happen. It's what they want to happen. So what carries us, gents, what carries us forward to the flashpoint? Is it the assassination of Donald Trump? Is it the imprisonment of Donald Trump? Owen Schroyer right now on InfoWars, they're saying that they do not know where he's at and they don't know if he's alive.
Jeez,
Okay.
really?
Who, Trump?
That's
no
no
Owen
Schroyer.
one of InfoWars.
Yeah.
Tell
Schroyer. Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Talk about Owen Schroyer. I'm familiar with it because I follow you and a few other guys who have talked about it, but tell Nick about Owen Schroyer real quick, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, all Owen Schroyer did was voice his First Amendment. That's all he did. That thing that, guys like me were willing to go and die for so that you can complain. That's your right, right?
What did
according
he say?
not to Biden, he just disagreed with Biden. That's all he did. He said Biden's not the president. The election was a hoax.
And he's an InfoWars guy. He's one of the,
And because he's an InfoWars guy,
Yeah,
right?
I see.
Or let's say this word, because he's influential.
yes, yeah.
Because he's influential. I'm gonna Jin Saki here for a second and circle
You
back.
gonna circle back?
Mhm.
That's another cute little swamp creature. I think I could rehab her, Doug. I'm just saying. I'm doing the Lord's work, baby. Come on.
Jin Saki is one of those people that I think she needs to be waterboarded a couple times. By that I mean like a good Southern Baptist baptism,
Yeah. Just a
dunked a
dunking
few
in some
times.
holy water.
Yeah.
You think you just come
don't
out
drink the water in the bathtub, right? We don't ever clean it.
You think you dunk her in the holy water and she just comes out like a skeleton?
It's just boiling.
It just boils,
Yeah, like Gremlins, right? Like Gremlins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Jin Saki, we're only saying that because you're a ginger. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. It's a gentrification.
But you have these people. You have these people who they can say anything they want about us. They can write any law they want about us. If you think about it, what Owen Schroyer did is no different than what Jin Saki did every day. She expressed her opinion with her level of authority that she was given. So did Owen Schroyer. He's an investigative journalist. He has the right to do that. And they imprisoned him for 6 months. They wanted like a couple of years. Okay. The fact that anyone went through with that trial and any judge looked at the evidence of what evidence, by the way, that any DA or USA or AUSA, excuse me, assistant U.S. attorney even went through and said, oh, yeah, he talked bad about the president, throw him in jail. Anyone who even looked at that and said, yep, we need to enforce this. You're part of the downfall of America. You're part of the reason why we're going to have a civil war, because there was something that happened back in the 30s. Maybe you've heard of a man named Joseph Goebbels, who orchestrated the killing and going afters of any person who was against the Reich, any person who was against the Fuhrer, any of them, to the extent that since they didn't have the internet, they went after the radio stations. And all you heard was controlled media afterwards. Project Mockingbird, right? You can't say things that are against Xi Jinping,
especially not in San Francisco,
right?
Yeah.
You can't say things against Vladimir Putin in Russia. But here in America, we can get away with it for a while, for now. Just not on YouTube, because Doug has had 6 strikes on YouTube. Okay.
You got us beat. We're kind of impressed, actually.
I'm limited to saying the words reprobate and amphibian when I go to describe certain people. I have literally used words in the algorithm so much the algorithm updated itself and hit me for a word that I was using, and that was my 6th strike. I'm like, damn, I thought I'd got away with that one for a while.
Wow.
So it's a path to mutually assured destruction. The way our politics are going, the way people are willingly squaring off against each other. You remember? Oh, he's got a red hat. Go after him. When you had crowds of people from Black Lives Matter, who was primarily white liberals. Okay, let's not confuse ourselves here. And they would go to vehicles here in Dallas. They pulled a guy out of his 18-wheeler.
Yep.
On the highway, on an overpass, and almost beat the man to death. North of me in Arkansas. In Oklahoma, there's a guy in a dually, and he's pulling a horse trailer. And out of nowhere, Black Lives Matter, riots, someone produces a Molotov cocktail and throws it into this horse trailer with the horses in it.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
The divorce happened. The divorce happened.
Yeah.
If we're already willing to go to war with each other, what more do the politicians need? What they need, if you ask me personally, what they need is they need a sacrificial goat from one of their own. That's what they need. They need one of their own to be attacked, to be killed, to be martyred, regardless of whether or not they know that victim. And then they'll use the Kigali principles from the UN. We are not far away from having a populace in America that is probably 10 times the size of our military and 10 times more armed than our military. That's a big threat in a national security point of view if we have a civil war. So I'll give you a scenario, and I've used this scenario with my buddy Dave Hodges quite a few times. Take Russia, for example, and I'm going to use this as an example of what we did to Iraq. Take Russia. Vladimir Putin tomorrow dies for whatever reason, okay? And then all of a sudden, the oligarchs, the military, the gangsters, everybody's vying for control. It becomes like what happened to Macedonia after Alexander died, and his generals were standing around him.
Yep.
And they said, Alexander, who gets the empire once you die? Remember what he said? The strongest.
The strongest.
To the strongest. Yep. A 50-year civil war happened.
Yep.
You cannot allow a 1-year civil war with the most nuclear armed nation on earth.
Yeah.
Who controls the nukes? The military? The oligarchs? The gangsters? Who controls the dead hand switch? So probably within 96 hours, 120 hours of Putin dying, the world, if they go into civil war, right? The world would converge on Russia and invade Russia, and China would help. And then they would most likely divide Russia up and take all of her resources and do to it what we did to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It'll be a 20-year sustainment operation.
That is also cannibalize.
Yeah. We're there to stabilize, right?
Yeah.
Peace and safety and security. That is what will happen to America.
Yeah.
That is what they want to happen to America. That's why they want to disarm us. That's why they want to take our voice down. YouTube, eventually, we're not going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
We probably won't be on Rumble because Rumble won't be a thing. Eventually, the government, kind of like what they're doing right now, is going to have complete control of the internet before 2024.
Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Goss with the Gosslings. Give your inner Christian warrior something to really gravitate towards and feed upon with Heavenly Realms, a series of 7 novels about angelic warfare written by me, yours truly. It is masculine, warrior-based fiction that is biblically based, but is extremely gratifying for the warrior in all of you. It is available on Amazon in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. If you like it, leave a review. If you want signed copies, you can always email us at thegoslingsgroup@gmail.com, and I would really love to hear from you. Again, Heavenly Realms by Jonathan Goss, available on Amazon. Check it
out. For reasons, right? Even though the FCC chairman told Brandon, up yours, I'm not giving you full control of the internet. So good on that dude.
Nice.
Check your car whenever you go out to the parking lot. Right.
Right.
That way you don't drive into an explosion.
Yeah. Have the butler start your car for you.
Yeah. Right. I hope you have one of those remote starts. I think that's what we're going to be facing. And I think we're honestly a year away from it. I've been saying since 2020 that by 2024, if we are not in a full-blown civil war, I'm going to be shocked. And if we're not in World War III by that point in time, I'm going to be really surprised. And one is going to be the catalyst for the other, most likely, right? We're meddling in Russia's business.
Yep.
We're meddling in Iran's business and China's business. We are now fully into Israel.
Gotta help build that canal. Gotta help blow up that pipeline. Gotta help.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, America will be accounted for her sins.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel 20:21, I was reading today, when God seeks vengeance against a nation, when God draws his sword against a nation, he does not sheathe his sword until the deed is done. And he always raises other nations, supernaturally raises other nations for that impending judgment, right? Like in Isaiah, I bring giants before you to destroy you, Israel. That's what I think eventually we're going to see, because who's funding Hamas? Is it really Iran? Or is it the other $10 billion that Biden just gave to Iran? Okay. Well, who's funding Israel? Who's killing Hamas and Hezbollah? Oh, it's us. Oh, well, who's giving them weapons? Oh, it's us. Oh, who just gave the Palestinians millions of dollars? Oh, us, right? Who gave the Ukrainians tank buster technology that has found its way into Hamas's hands that is destroying Israeli tanks? Oh, we did that. Eventually, the whole world is going to catch on. And the whole world, like Iran said, I want to say probably about 8 years ago, one of the idiots in charge of Iran, he said that the greatest evil in the world is America. Every war has been started in modernity by America. And America is the world's greatest problem. And the UN, because it's right there in New York, the Committee of 300, everyone's like, oh, shut up. You Ayatollahs and your 12th Imam and, your suicide religion. It wasn't really wrong. Did you see the letter that came out that everyone's talking about? The letter from Osama bin Laden?
Right.
Prove it was him. Right.
Thank you. Yep.
Prove it was him. But I'll tell you this much. Americans are gullible, stupid, ignorant, and mostly uneducated creatures at the ages of like 35 to 12. Because if I didn't learn it on TikTok, it's not real, right? There wasn't a dude on a podcast talking about it. It probably didn't happen, right? Now, not everybody, okay, but my God, the people I see on the internet are not giving me hope. So,
Try working with them.
right? So these people, they see this letter from Osama bin Laden, and he's like, pack your bags and we won't have to send you home in coffins. Dude, they weren't doing that. They were slowly cutting people's heads off. Like to even believe that, we fought against them. And then these yuppie women, these young yuppie women are sitting here like, oh my Lord, you need to listen to this. You need to read this and reevaluate your thinking of America.
No, I don't.
No,
Shut up.
no. What you need to do is you need to go to Afghanistan with that low cut shirt.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Take you in your high tops and your booty shorts and your Starbucks. Go walk the streets of Kabul. Tell me how that goes for you.
Implants and
yeah. With your bachelor's degree in gender studies, go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Right. I remember a few years ago when Saudi Arabia was trying to hire more executioners. Okay.
Whoa, really?
Oh, by the way,
calling.
it was,
you missed your calling, Jonathan.
What?
Yeah, and it was for swords.
What?
I missed my calling. I missed my calling, Jonathan. No, I'm just kidding.
What are they still hiring, Doug? Just like asking for friends.
No,
I'm just
don't worry, it's coming here. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sweet.
It'll be coming here.
Cool, because I like ice in my Coke, so I don't want to travel.
These are the same people that threw rocks at us and Molotov cocktails at us and their bloody, dirty tampons at us.
Yeah.
Or they would like me, I got covered in acetone paint. Right?
Gosh.
Hit with frozen water balls. I'll tell you kids
that hurts.
A cool experiment you need to do with your parents. Go and freeze a potato and chunk it at your old man.
And then see how fast you can run.
Dude, a frozen potato hurts. All right.
Yeah.
I got hit right in the face by one. These are the same women.
But you know what? They're so brazen, Doug, because men we have abandoned our mandate as the protectors and the leaders. And so we've allowed the serpent to convince the collective Eve through propaganda, through media. All media is made for women. All marketing since the 50s is designed for it, so we've allowed them to do that. And we've taken violence off the table. So they don't respect the bicep anymore. I mean, you're a big dude. Okay. I mean, you're just I've described you as just a hulk of a human. There is no way in a million years. I'm 5'8" on a good day, dude. I would not throw a frozen potato at you, but a 25, 35-year-old PhD OnlyFans chick, or soccer mom will do that.
What was bad is we had 15-year-olds. 16-year-olds. We had a 12-year-old. We used to call him Cotton Top.
Cotton Top was a bad dude.
I remember in 2016 when Antifa first squared off against Patriot Prayer Group in Portland. We were there for it. Antifa showed up with these paper mache giant spiders that were attached to stolen Walmart push carts. And just the whole time we're standing there with all of our guns, we're like, I don't know what's going on right now, but this is awesome.
The hell am I high?
Yeah, this is so funny. I can't laugh hard enough through a gas mask. And we had this one kid. We made an arrest one night, and I was a team leader. We're making arrests. I'm making sure everyone's keeping space, making sure my guys are working, allowed to do what they need to do. And I got pushed from behind. And I heard this guy say something about I'm going to kill you, pig, or something stupid like that, right? And I look and I'm thinking it's a grown man, and I was a child. Where are you, parents? Right? Well, the thing is, the mindset of those people is the parents were probably in the back laughing. Okay. You won't see those people when the draft comes. You won't see them standing in the line waiting to go to basic training. Okay. They're going to fake every injury you've ever heard of in order not to go. Have you seen these guys on Instagram or TikTok or whatever? I'm not big in social media. I don't know. But I've seen them on YouTube, right? I've seen some of the YouTube personalities talk about them. And they're always like,
we're not gay.
yeah, there's like these liberal yippie gay dudes, and like, some guy be like, I'm not going. Take the Second Amendment people. They got training. Look at my hands. Does it look like I could go to war? And in my mind, the whole time,
I can't go to war with these little Burger King hands.
like in my mind, like Corporal Thornton is coming back, which is a terrifying person that I try to keep locked in the back part of my mind. And I'm just like, what you don't understand is, even though I'm a disabled veteran and I probably can't make the PT score anymore, but they'll probably put me as like a School of Infantry instructor if they need additional guys, is that you're going to be mine for a while. You're gonna feel the wrath of guys like us who used to really haze people back when hazing was still good and patriotic, and
before stress cards,
yeah,
before they had the stress cards, and
we just called it, good training. Hey, don't screw up, you won't get hazed. And sometimes you're just going to get hazed because we're bored. You can't throw rocks at trees all day long. So these guys, they won't make it. And, they're like, I'm not going to the front lines. You're not going to be in the front line. You're going to have an e-tool and you're going to be digging sandbags. That's all you're going to do. Here's dirt, here's shovel, sandbag. I think you can, fix that, right? Because most of these dudes are like, I'm a barista at Starbucks and that's my life experience. Don't worry, sweetheart. We got jobs for you. The head still needs the head where everyone's crapping in still has to get burned. You'll be on that detail. Don't think these things don't happen.
Jet fuel and a 50-gallon drum and an old broom handle and start stirring.
People are laughable. People are laughable when they're like, the draft's coming. Well, I'm not going. Good. Don't go. Don't go. What do you do when they come to get you, though?
Right.
Because there's going to be multiple drafts. If you look back in history when the draft happens, okay, except for like in the colonial times when they called for a draft and no one showed up, Washington had to go to a prison and get 400 prisoners. That was our first colonial army, by the way. You're going to have men who are going to say, it's my patriotic duty to show up to fight for my country. And that's going to be probably like a group that big of like, people who aren't thinking very clearly. And then you're going to have, from letter A to letter G. If you're born at this time of month on this date, show up at your recruiting office. We know where you live because we got your IRS papers. Then it goes to the little scenario of who's going to come get you. Because I know plenty of dads who are willing to go to absolute war for their kids not to get thrown into these assholes' next series of wars that they want to throw us into. And I agree with them. I absolutely agree with it. I don't want to go back to war. I don't want any of you guys to go to war. Send them to war. Send Brandon and his kid. Let them go to war. Send Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham's always talking about assassinating Putin. Let the CIA train up little sweetheart Lindsey. Let him go on a suicide mission. But they don't. They don't, right? They use us. And once again, the level of national divorce, if you look at people who are fearing for the draft to come and everyone's saying, up yours, no draft is happening. That's a big tale. Because when 9/11 happened, we were, it was hard to get in the military at one point, right? Because they're like, hey, we got so many people, we can actually be picky. Not no more. Now, the Army, man, I have the brochure right here, is hysterical. Here. So now the Army is saying you don't have to have a COVID vaccine anymore to join the Army. up to a $50,000 enlistment bonus, full-time or part-time opportunities. What is this, Burger King?
Part-time?
Part-time. Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Indiana Jones.
Guaranteed pay and entitlements. $1,918 to 26 yeah, $2,260 per month starting. Good luck with that. At least whenever I joined the Marine Corps, it was like $700 a month, and I thought that was awesome. When I became NCO, and I got like a little over $1,000 a month, I was like, man, I'm rocking. This is sweet.
I'm gonna go buy a Camaro.
Yeah, they got tuitions assistance, travel the world. It literally says travel the world, 30 days paid vacation. You can tell a woman wrote this. Army training and courses count towards your college degree. Yep, Staff Sergeant Casey Thompson.
Oh,
listen,
she's adorable.
Listen, ma'am, good try. But what you're not going to get is you're not going to get the gang banging thugs from Black Lives Matter and Antifa to join your little army anymore. You're going to go back to flyover country. You know, the people that you guys shit on for the last 4 years, right, that you said we were deplorables, that we were ignorant, that we were the useless breathers or useless eaters. You know, all those people that Hillary Clinton talked crap about, you know, the guys that whenever they were coming back from Afghanistan into Dover, Delaware, and they had the flags draped on the coffin. You know, that guy named President Biden looked at his watch, wondering when this is all done.
Oh, dude, I forgot.
They want
that. Oh my
us.
gosh.
They want us to come back again because they need fighting men. Fighting men is not the men on the left. We already did that with Antifa. Those aren't men. That is laughable. Laughable. The amount of times that we got into scrums with Antifa was so fun because it was like bullying children. and you know, they're all out there in their Halloween costumes and trying to look intimidating, and we're all laughing, right, with our gas mask on because the whole sky is just orange and green and yellow because of all the chemicals, and everyone's just, you know, choking, and we're just laughing. You don't get it. You don't get it. Men win the battles. Men go to war. The women don't go to war. Never have. Not one army of women have ever taken over a nation, period. And it will never be that way because that's not the way God designed us.
Yeah, but Doug, my two moms. Come on.
You know? Yeah. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen with that lady? Somewhere a pencil needed to be sharpened. And she's going to get an award for keeping them all sharpened throughout the entire deployment.
Oh, yeah, and a promotion. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Look, when we were in Iraq, we had female soldiers, Marines, sailors in the Army, you know, National Guard, who died in combat. Almost all of those casualties were not really combat related. A few of them were. A few of them chicks were hardcore, right? Like some of our helicopter pilots, some of our aircraft pilots, hardcore. Okay. EOD, they had women out there, hardcore. EOD is absolutely insane. The bomb ordnance people, they're insane. Okay. However, the vast majority is fought by us. So when this great divorce happens, we've already won that fight. And I mean, just in our age group, gents, all right, from, you know, the ages of, let's say, 18 to 45, we dominate 9 times out of 10. Everyone else in this country. Add in the bubbas that are 45 to 65 on top of our ranks.
Yeah.
This country would not stand a chance in that kind of a civil conflict. Thus, meaning the Kigali principles would have to be enacted because you'd have a state of emergency that would be declared. The continuity of government is under severe risk. That's when my mind goes into the places where I can see fake assassinations happening of politicians. Honestly, you only need one. You only need one, right? And you have a sacrificial goat somewhere. I used to thought that was Kamala all the time. Might still be. I hope not, right? I don't want anyone to be hurt.
Sacrificial camel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good luck. Um, but once the Kigali principles get enacted and the United Nations decide that they want to come here and play, that's not going to go well for anybody. The whole world could descend upon America, the whole world, and anyone who could get over here to fight. You're going to have a horrific time going from the Appalachians to the Colorados and trying to win.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it in Vietnam. We couldn't do it in Afghanistan. We couldn't do it in Iraq. What the hell makes these nations think you're going to do that in America where people own tanks? Tom Cruise owns an F-16. Like, we're crazy, right? We're crazy people. Dude,
I got a friend who has a Hummer, like a real one, not, the H2, like, and he's got the mounts for whatever he needs,
Yeah,
one dude.
You can go to San Antonio and you can drive yourself a tank and shoot it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Texas leading the way.
Yeah,
but,
baby. Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand in a civil conflict, this is not going to be some quiet war. This is going to be door to door.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Your street. Think of South Africa. I have friends of mine that are in South Africa who have been telling me over years how horrifically dangerous South Africa is. Times 1,000, you got America. Okay. Mm-hmm. Try when everything starts to break down, when its prophecy has hit the fan, going to get groceries is going to be a military operation. Mm-hmm. Going to fill up your vehicle is going to require probably, a team plus of armed men, because fuel is gold. Gold isn't buying you anything. Fuel is gold then, right? Groceries, the utilities, water, clean water is liquid gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Medicine. And, in my mind, the entire nation breaks back down into colonies and then into tribal communities, right? Because, and this is, me speculating, but ever since I joined the government long time ago, we were always taught that the grid, if they hit the grid, we're screwed. Everything breaks down. I remember listening to Dr. Peter Vincent Pry and some of his assistants back then, and they scared the crap out of me. And I started reading 1 second after. I couldn't sleep for weeks because my mind was just stuck in this. Oh my God, we really don't have a plan. There really isn't a plan for continuity of government. Continuity of government is not continuity of you keeping your lights on and you keeping your car filled with fuel and you guys both have groceries and you can eat, because you're not government. Continuity of government means that we're going to take the president and anyone who's within the vicinity, and they're going underground with all of our guys. They're going underground and they're going to sit and wait it out until someone comes over here, decimates the area so the government can come back up, and then the government can reestablish itself. Did I ever say we the people in any part of that situation?
Nope.
No. Nope. Never. So if at any point in time the government goes underground for continuity of operations and China shows up, how many Bubbas do you think are going to say, well, the Chinese are here, time to get old Ma Deuce out? Here's the thing no one is expecting, though. If you were to do this correctly and intelligently, you would not have toe-to-toe fights with people. You do what we did, in Vietnam.
War of the
If you want to go survive, you want to go survive in the Appalachians, we're going to dunk chemicals on top of you. Okay. It's going to be biological and chemical warfare, and no one's ready for it. The thing is, and I piss myself off purposely sometimes I war game everything. I all the time. I'll write like a little thing. Okay, if this happens, then how do I correct this action? And I'll do pros and cons. If we go into continuity of operations, and then the power grid is taken down based off my knowledge, my working knowledge of this, what are the next things that get set up and established, and how well coordinated is all that? It all sucks. No one's ready. We don't talk. The government doesn't talk to each other. The utilities and the government doesn't talk to each other. Nobody is talking to each other. So when the power grid goes down, it'll be individual areas that'll be standing themselves back up. Right. And whoever stands back up and has comms is in charge. So, the need for preparedness, ham operators, training, being in shape. I say being in shape all the time. You know why? If you're in shape, then when you get sick, you got a fighting chance. If you're not in shape and you're fat and you're nasty and you're eating Cheetos all day and you're just morphing into like the fourth couch cushion, the first flu is probably going to kill you. All right. Not to mention if you're dehydrated, right? All these pills that people are on, all the alcohol people are on. How many people honestly have walked 5 miles without stopping in their life in the last 10 years? Be honest with yourself. Okay. Go walk for 30 minutes. Tell me how your ankles feel.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll find out real quick if those boots you bought were worth it.
Yeah, man. People got to have a reality check. This training that we just put on here south of the DFW area, we had people, we're doing patrol stuff. So put all your gear on. We're going to go on a walk. I'm not teaching you anything. I just want you to see what an actual patrol walk feels like. Everybody complained about their gear. And then we went on a nighttime patrol. Everybody complained about their gear. I complained about my gear because it sucks. Now, going back in time, when we were in Iraq, we did that for 4 to 6 hours straight. When you have to break down to do that again, that's a young man's game. How many of us guys are getting longer in the tooth can still do that? I mean, if you got property, if you live, in a close-knit community, do you not think you're going to be patrolling? You damn better be, right? How many are used to staying up all night? Not a lot of people, right? This whole talk of civil war becomes much more complicated when you actually talk about reality. And reality is 99% of it is going to be pure boredom, which means with that boredom, people are going to grow animosity towards each other, talk crap towards each other. You're going to start running out of supplies. Your body's going to hurt. You're going to run out of the ibuprofen. You're going to run out of your alcohol. You're going to run out of your smokes and your dip. You're going to run out of your fuel, your cool, rig that you spent your whole life wasting your money on. Now you ain't got fuel. Now you got to walk. All those little things add up. And the thing that I've been trying to teach people is in order to survive the Civil War, you have to survive as a community. The gray man's not going to do it. Gray man is when you're out in the public by yourself. Yep. Right. Then you're gray man. Other than that, this is a team environment. And, egos are going to be the downfall. Women are going to complain about each other. They're going to go to, this husband and that husband, let's say you two guys are in charge. All right. One of your wives is going to turn and say, I think you can do this a lot better than your brother. Nah, he's in charge. I'm going to support him. Though he, if he would have, just listened to that one thing I said the other day, maybe Jimmy wouldn't have got shot. Right. And then just etching away. Now, this is all hypothetical, but this is how it happens. Right. And you're going to have competing factions. Well, I should be in charge because I've got a degree in gender studies. Well, Doug should be in charge because he's got military and law enforcement experience. Yeah, but Doug's an asshole and yells at everybody. We don't want to listen to Doug. Doug calls me bad names all the time and says I'm fat and need to get in shape. The egos are going to collide. Yeah. And here are people saying, oh, man, can't wait to take on China and Russia when they get here. Man, you're not ready to
You won't live
operate in a
long enough to fight
community.
China and Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, as Christians, we have to really take a close look to ourselves and evaluate, like, where am I lacking in my prayer life? How much of my sins are a disadvantage to me? Am I an asset to my family in my current state? Am I an alcoholic? Am I overweight? Do I got a bad attitude? Am I going through depression? If everything broke bad right now, could my family rely upon me? There's a lot of dudes who need to have a gut check, right? And, don't leave it in the comments or anything, man. But, if you got to go on a walk at 3 a.m. and go talk to the Lord, you better start doing it. God will tell you what you need to do, but you better move all this trash, the phones, the internet, your stupid video games that guys are caught up playing, your sports car, your fishing and hunting trips. You better get your prayer life squared away first. Christ comes first. The wife comes second. If you don't learn that organization, when everything hits the fan, you're going to be reinformed. All right. And men who don't have that, I'm very blessed to have a safety blanket of a very strong, headstrong wife that is extraordinarily reliable. Most reliable person in my life is my wife. If someone broke into my house and I get killed in a gunfight, good luck with my wife. Good luck. She's a mama bear, but she's trained. She knows how to use her weapon. Yeah. She is my battle buddy. She's my backup. I'm her backup. We work as a team. Instead, with couples, you see these opposing factions. Well, I got my own bank account. She's got her own bank account. We do our own thing. And
yeah, okay, I was always worried when I saw that fragmentation. I've seen that in couples. Like,
yeah, don't do that. Don't let Satan divide you by money. Take that out. You're conjoined at the hip now until you die. You better get over that part, right? Man, it's our ego. It's our ego. It's our stupid pride. That was mine for the longest time. I can do anything. I can fix anything. I can solve any of my own problems. Honestly, I couldn't. The only thing I could ever do is make my problems worse. I never took it to God. And I ended up with egg on my face eventually. I could fake the funk for a while until it failed, and I just didn't have anything to show for it. And I looked like an idiot. Once we have that self-evaluation and we start to fix ourselves, then you better fix your relationship with your wife, with your kids. You better learn how, as Abraham said, dig the well for your house first before you talk about wanting to, have your prepper group and wanting to do all this other cool stuff. Your homeboys ain't who you're married to. They're not going to be the ones, that are going to come and pull you out of the bed in the middle of the night when your wife's just sitting there gnawing your ear off because you're acting like an idiot. The husband and wife should be an impenetrable group, a phalanx. They should be at all times. But it's going to be tested. Like the church will be tested in the tribulation. The husband and wife will be tested. When the Bible says that men's hearts will fail them for fear of what comes on after this earth, what do you think they're talking about? They're talking about things that your guns aren't going to solve the problem with. You'll only win by the word of your testimony, and you have to be tested first. In that testing, God will take you through those fires to refine you, not to set you ablaze. You do that yourself. So, I think the first thing to being prepared for the apocalypse is being prepared, spiritually with God first. From there, everything else will fall in line. God will take care of you. Should you keep that conduit of information flowing between you and the Lord? But it's you can see in this current state of reality that people are turning to New Ageism, intellectualism. Trump will solve all my problems. I'll just move back in with my mom and dad. People have this defeatist mindset and an unrealistic mindset. And one of these days, man, the world is going to kick you right in the groin and you're not going to be ready for it. So, get ready now before it happens. That's my advice.
Amen, brother. We got a Patreon question from Mike Fisher, who I think he connected with you and Jamie Walden at one of your summits earlier.
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
Yeah, Mike, he's a great guy, man. We love Mike. In fact, I got a text from him while we were doing this interview.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, "Hey, is there a show tonight?" I was like, "No, but we're in the middle of interviewing Doug." He's like, "Sweet." So, yeah, he's a big fan. But and he's great, man. He really takes care of us. He has Jardani Jovanovic hair and skincare products.
I got a lot of his products. I actually like them.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you looking to actualize your inner Leonidas? Are you looking to find something for the Spartan in your life? Look no farther than Jardani Jovanovic. Jardani Jovanovic hair and skincare products made by real men for real men. Or as I like to say, be as sexy as you are deadly. Give 007 a run for his money. Awaken your inner John Wick with Jardani Jovanovic hair and skincare products.
They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff actually smells good.
Yeah.
Well, Mike says, he says, have Wrecker explain to the audience what the perestroika deception is by Anatoly Golitsyn, the ex-KGB agent, and how it ties into the biblical narrative of things that are going on now.
Well, that's really a Jamie Walden question. Here's my mindset on this whole thing. We have Russian defectors who come over here, 60s, and they say, Russia has been getting ready for you for decades. And yet at the same time, we're told to trust this Russian defector. And yet at the same time, this is the height of psyops for the U.S. government. All right. So do we believe the Russian defectors? Do we believe they're benevolent? Do we think they're malevolent? I think the thing to focus on is the fact that one way or the other, they will deceive you. That is what Satan will do. He is the father of lies, and these are all his offspring. These are all his plans. Though God is in control, deception still happens. That's why Christ said, "Be ye not deceived." From there, if you don't understand history and you don't understand politics and you don't cross-reference with your Bible to the point that your Bible should not be like, I read a book, right? All right, here I am reading my cool fantasy book. Oh, look, there's, a reference to one verse of the Bible. Okay. You don't pick up your Bible and read that one verse or a sentence or two and say, well, I read my Bible for the day. No, man, that's not how that works. You got to know the Bible so that when you read the politics, you see the deception. And when you understand the father of lies, you understand the deception. A lot of this can just kind of be glazed over, and you can just, get in a groove to where you understand I'm living in a world of deception. Christ is in control, but there's a lot of things that are about to try to deceive me. I don't trust the Russian defector, period. I do believe them. I do believe China and Russia have been getting ready for years. I think the Nazis are a part of it. I think everyone has been getting ready for whatever reason to take out America, maybe because it's biblical, maybe because what's going to happen with Israel, with the Psalm 83 war, Ezekiel 38, 39 war, maybe they don't need anyone coming to their rescue, right? Israel never saves themselves, by the way. God always saves Israel. Okay.
Right.
You can't have us come in and save Israel.
Right.
Right. Because then what is God? Now, God does use nations, but are we a godly nation? God raises up Babylon multiple times to serve his justice against his own nation. If God raised up America to serve his justice against Israel and then smited us, then that goes right along with what God does in the Bible. I do believe, however, that Russia, all the communists, all the socialists, they're all the same people, right? They cannot have a nuclear armed, patriotic, God loving America anywhere within a rifle shot of their operations. Because for whatever reason, when we show up, we typically win. It may not be the prettiest win. It may be a very questionable win. Like, did you have to do that to all those people? But that's a thing that America's proven, that when we show up, we do win. Maybe not lately, but I think the communists are truly afraid of America, and that's why they gotta cut us out. That's why they've been manipulating the children since kindergarten to hate us, because that's the next red revolution. The color of revolution is going to come from college to kindergarten, right? Which goes back to what I was saying earlier. Our generation, we lads, we are actually probably the most important generation in America right now. When a fight happens, it will be the men in the late 20s to 45, I'll even say 50, who are going to be carrying the heavy load. Did y'all hear the report from Ukraine today?
No.
Almost all the young men in Ukraine have been killed in war.
Wow.
The average soldier's age in the Ukrainian military is 43, where the average age in the American military is probably 20, which is the average age of most militaries, right? Ukraine is a living example of what they will do to America. All right, it's all being practiced so that I think it can eventually be done to us. And there's really, I don't know if there's much hope for getting around that problem. I think no matter what, prophecy will be fulfilled. But America, we're not doing ourselves any favors with the abortions, with blasphemy against God. We're only heaping up more woes, storing up more woes for ourselves. So I think eventually we're going to get smashed. And Russia, dude, most likely Russia and China will be the hammer and the anvil that we get, stuck in the middle between and get smashed by.
Yeah, because Western Europe is useless. I mean, we are NATO, and that was always my only reservation about civil war in this country, is the fact that it would render us insolvent. I was never too worried about the constitutional patriots being able to take out most of the military, most of law enforcement, because a lot of those guys, I think there's this and correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but I think there's a lot of this delusion from these neocon boomer conservatives who are like, well, the military is going to be on our side and they're going to join us and help us. It's like, I don't know, dude. I think a lot of those guys are going to take orders, because they're going to be told that like we're all a bunch of domestic terrorists, and they're just going to follow orders like they did in Katrina.
I mean, when I was an 18-year-old Marine, whatever they told me to do, that's what I would have done.
And that's the thing that
you're brainwashed.
I have that problem with a lot of my, I have that compunction, I should say, with a lot of my veteran friends or former law enforcement friends. They're like, oh no, well, I mean, I'm not going to put up for that, and I would never have done that. It's like, I think when you were 18, you would have done whatever you were told, homeboy.
For sure.
And when you were a cop, you would have done whatever a judge told you to do, because you would have said, well, I'm not a judge, and it's just my job to serve the law, and it's not my job to blah, blah, blah. So, like, I don't think those guys are going to be on our side. I think those are going to be the foot soldiers that we're going to have to take out. And it's really just a matter of time and age. the 18-year-old that, you're going to have a, civil war with now, fast forward 10, 20 years when he's 38 or 48, he's going to be on your side because he's in your position now and he's not brainwashed anymore, and
Yeah. I, from my personal experience, most cops, most veterans are conservatives.
Yeah.
From my personal experience, the agency that I served with, everyone that I served with was a veteran who had a combat deployment.
Yeah.
And we had leftists in our ranks. In Portland, all right, we had a few black officers, for whatever reason, called up Washington, D.C. and complained that the like 200 or 300 of us that were there on this operation were wearing thin blue line American flags, and that it was racist because of George Floyd and blah, blah, blah. And so we were forced to take the American flags off of our vests.
Wow.
Or if you had a mask on, because we were all shielding our faces, right?
Right.
Because of COVID. You might want to bleep COVID out every time I've said it. Trust me, do that. Just trust me, go ahead and do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We if it was thin blue line, we had to get rid of it. And I'm sitting here as a supervisor, as a fellow brother, and I'm just looking at these guys that I'm serving with, and I'm just thinking, who needs enemies? When in my own ranks, you were so deluded.
Yeah,
you're so stupid that you would actually believe the lies from the left, that as a sworn law enforcement officer, as someone who has an honorable discharge from the military, someone who should have honor, courage, commitment, someone who should believe in the Constitution, who typically should be a good person, right? In order to have this job, because you're willing to lay your life down the line for anybody. Okay. You now say that you and George Floyd are the same? And I've talked to some of my friends that are black officers, like, man, George Floyd would have killed you should you try to arrest that guy, and he's got a gun on him. He was in prison 29 times. He died doing what he loved.
He went out just like he wanted.
Yeah. Hey, don't smuggle fentanyl inside yourself and you won't die from it. A little common sense for you.
It's a Darwin Award, if ever there was one, Doug.
Did Derek Chauvin do the world a favor by showing a stupid amount of lack of empathy? No, he didn't. There's a thing I like to say about tarnishing the badge and polishing the badge. Every day, cops should be polishing the badge for yesterday when some idiot tarnished it. All right. It's up to the individual officer to be a good representation of an American, of a police officer, of your community. Just like every citizen, it is up to you to be, Mr. John Q. Public, the everyday good old boy American civilian. Absolutely. That the rest of the world says, man, that's why I want to move to America, because I want to be like those guys. Not to be some punk ass walking down the road, spray painting the anarchy, breaking into stuff and stealing sneakers and God knows what, destroying Starbucks just because it's there. There was this one place that was by the Federal Building in Portland where there was a Starbucks that, like, every week a new glass was broken in it, and they still wouldn't serve us.
Isn't that amazing?
They wouldn't serve. Yeah, they're like, we're like, hold on, guys. Your buddies are trying to burn down your establishment that you work in, and you won't serve law enforcement, and you call us pigs. And we're still in here being pleasant, saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, leaving tips because we're good people, right?
Paying, you know.
Yeah,
Paying for it. What an odd custom that is. This is how diluted America is right now. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? That's how diluted America was 3 to 4 years ago. Imagine 2024. Trump gets incarcerated.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or God forbid, assassinated.
Yeah. Or
right?
elected.
Oh.
I mean, Doug, you want to talk about the one thing that could be like more of a flashpoint than either of those two?
These guys will pull
He won't, you know, they won't let him, just like they didn't let him last time, but still.
No, these guys, this elite party that we talk about, they'll pull a Dr. Evil tractor beam with a meteor by the moon into America before they ever allow Trump to be president.
Isn't that bizarre, Doug? I mean, like, how do you square that?
You know, I don't. He was on their side,
right? Yeah,
for the longest time.
Yeah,
just as many times Snoop Dogg had him in his music videos.
Yeah.
Then he becomes president, and now he's trying to kill Trump in his music videos. He was friends with the Clintons, rode on Epstein's plane 4 times. 4 times. Very questionable behavior, I questioned before. Okay. He's not Saint Donald. People need to get over that one. Remember the firefighter guy who had a prophecy about Trump like every other weekend? Right? People, oh yeah, this was like, 2016. 2016. There's a firefighter guy, and he's like, I have a prophecy about Trump. Trump's going to become the president, and then Trump's going to save America, and Trump's going to do all these things. Trump didn't do any of it. Okay. I remember when Hillary, you're going to prison the moment I become president. What happened to that?
Nothing.
We're going to clean out the swamp. Yeah, we're going to clean out the swamp. Man, he rehired all the creatures he kicked out. How about we're going to secure the border? Didn't happen. How about when all the cities were burning? Okay. Over 50 cities at one point in time were being burnt down by domestic extremists. Here in law enforcement, we're just asking, let us off the leash.
Yeah.
Let us loose upon them. That's the only way you quail evil men, is by giving good men skilled with violence guns.
Yeah.
In time. Look away for a little bit. We got to go do some stuff, right?
Yeah. Dangerous men on the wall. Nick had a good question about that, actually. That
about compassion.
Yeah, and being a law enforcement officer and a veteran and a Christian also. I thought
a couple questions. One is as a Marine veteran and law enforcement officer, former law enforcement officer, and a Christian. Like, the first question is, a normal guy like me, it's not any of those things. You know,
you're a Christian.
I'm a husband. Well, I'm.
Oh, although
not according to some of the people in the comments.
Yeah,
but I would like to think so. But I'm a husband. I've got a 14-year-old. I've got an 11-year-old. Like, one, how do I prepare? How do I prepare for them? And second question is, how is there a way to be Christ-like without compassion? Like, are there situations that call for? Are there some situations in which compassion is a liability, and that which I'm called to be Christ-like, even if there isn't compassion?
So let's start off with the first one. What do you do to prepare? As a man, the first step is kind of what Paul said, is act like a man. Right? The problem with a lot of men currently is they act just like the women. They're verbally combative. They want to sit there and they want to have these, conversations about everyone and anyone. Ladies, I'm not poking fun at you. It's just, it's a
thing.
It's just a gist. A lot of men have forgot what it means to be rough, what it means to be gritty, intimidating. There's nothing wrong with violence. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm a man of war. Jehovah is my name. Okay. God is all about some violence, but it's being righteous. So let's take both these questions and throw them together. A righteous Christian, unafraid to use violence, who understands when compassion needs to be implied. Jesus said to love your enemies, pray for your enemies. That's hard when you look at Hamas burning children and decapitating people in front of their family. There's a point here that people need to understand. Compassion to your enemy is upon the battlefield as men are laying wounded and dying. We don't go and stand on top of their wounds and urinate in their face. We don't go and drag them through the streets and parade their bodies. If they're hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them drink. If they're cold, clothe them. Because this is what Christ commands us to do. Doing those things for those people is like doing it for him. Being complimentary and pleasant is like leaping coals upon their head. Okay? We have to really actually read our Bibles, for one thing, men. Secondly, there comes a point in time when no quarter can be given, and that is in the heat of battle. That is when you have a split second, or as what we used to say is in law enforcement, you have about a 3-second constitutional window that I can throw them hands. And then when you're down on the ground, fighting stops, handcuffs go on, fighting stops. If you kick me, then I can apply a little bit more force, but I can't beat upon you. After that, I am now a criminal, right? Self-control. Many men don't know self-control because they've never had to be in an element where they had to lose control. So find a place where you can put yourself in a situation where you can lose control so that you can regain it. The only way for men to understand this is to be around men who teach it. That's why I stress Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing. Go get roughed up. It's good for you. You need to know what you can do. You need to know what the man in the arena can perform as. If not, hope is not a reliable answer. Not when the crowds are coming. Not when you got people kicking your door down in the middle of the night. That's why we train people in our training to be the king of your home, right? My whole job as an instructor is to teach men how to use this properly. This is one of our training firearms, okay? How to use this properly, safely, intelligently, and violently. You need to be accurate, though. If you got kids running around, I got 5 kids, okay? If I got kids running around and my home defense weapon is a 12-gauge shotgun with birdshot or buckshot, okay, well, I want you guys, here's a little test for you. And anyone listening, do this. Stick your hand out. Here's your gun. Stick your hand straight out. Go ahead. Stick your hand out. Okay? Any of your kids that height?
Yeah.
Yep. You have to be cognizant. Know your target and what lies beyond it. If I'm shooting with my cool PDW 300 blackout, rifle in my house, which probably only has sheetrock and studs, and I start to spray and pray, and I got little ones running around, did you know that you are accountable for every round fired out of your weapon legally? And every state is different. In Texas, we got the castle doctrine. We'll drag you back through the front door if you crawl out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And the castle doctrine also extends to our vehicles.
Yeah, same.
Stand your ground. Yeah, stand your ground, right? So not every state is like that. You need to know your laws. You need to know your laws. You need to know your capabilities. You need to understand how to push yourself to the point where your capabilities are becoming dangerous. And as we rev the engine up, we know we're hitting that red line. We need to start revving the engine down. If I run through a house and I shoot at targets and I don't hit any of the targets, did I look cool like Lucas Bakken from T-Rex Arms? Sure. Was I accurate and didn't hit anything? No, you weren't. Slow it back down. You're going to have to find a pace where I can comfortably go heel toe through them rooms and I can put shots on target accurately. But let's say you can put shots on target accurately. If this thing stops working, your magazine, and this is an airsoft gun, if you have failure to feed, any malfunction in your firearm, and you don't know how to fix it, you might as well have a big damn stapler in your hand.
Yep.
So there's many men who show up for the training. I've got guns. I've never shot them.
Yep.
And I simply ask them, how long have you had it? A couple months, a year. That's fine. I will show you everything you need to know so that you can confidently go back home and apply this. But you have to continue to apply the training we teach you. And you have to go and seek out more training. Is firearms training great? Absolutely. You need to know how to shoot a gun. You probably also need to know how to dress a wound, apply a tourniquet, right? Use situational awareness. Be a good trained observer, good trained listener. Note taking is actually very important until the lights go out, because if you get into a shootout, you got to know how to write your own statement. You got to know how to talk. One of the things that we teach people in our scenario-based training is if you come around the corner of my house, right? I'm inside my house. You come around the corner, stick my gun up at you. I give you verbal commands. For one thing, if I give you a verbal command, you better believe me. Because if not, if you don't believe me, are you going to listen to me? Are you going to continue to move a little closer to me? Are you going to respect my authority? Or are you going to push that boundary? All right. Let's say you do respect it. You do understand that I will shoot you in the face if you move again. And what do I do with you now? I need to put you at a place of disadvantage, putting myself at a place of dominance and advantage. I need to know what to do with you. This is one of the things that we are teaching people. It just, once I told people how to do it, it made sense. Until then, they had no idea what to do. Okay. This is not complicated. Put your hands up. Put your hands on the back of your head. Interlock your fingers. I do that so that you can't quickly whip your hands down. I'm going to have you take one of your hands, grab your shirt, and pull it up towards your face so that I can see your waistline, because waistlines are where people carry weapons and people use weapons with their hands. So I need to know hands and I need to know waistlines. I'm going to have you slowly spin around. If I don't see anything, I'm going to put you in a position of disadvantage. How do I do that? Well, do I want you facing me so you can see everything I do? That's a tactical decision. Situation dictates, as we like to say. Let's say I just tell you to get down on your knees. Now I'm lowering you, right? So now I'm having a position of dominance. You're at a position of disadvantage. I lower you. I tell you, cross your ankles, sit back on your feet, keep your hands on the back of your head. Now lean back against the wall. If there's anything at all that you're about to do, you have to spring up off that wall, off your feet that you're sitting on, giving me time to think, ability to move, and I should already have a safe distance from you. Too many times that people, especially the guys, they want to close the distance because we're like two roosters in a fight. We just want to get in each other's faces. They close the distance, and then one of my instructors grabs them, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy. And if you don't know grappling, good luck.
Yeah.
So, you have to understand what to do with your mouth. Put that person in a position of disadvantage. If you don't know how to do it, come to the training. We can show you. Trust me, I'll only have to show you a couple times. And then you go back home and you teach your wife. Then you teach your kids. Then you teach your buddies. And now the church is working for itself, right? That's how we prepare. Yeah. If we don't train to that standard, when these times come, man, I would rather see you better prepared and gone through those situations and failed in the training environment where you don't die instead of failing in your home where you can potentially die or accidentally shoot someone you didn't want to shoot. You know, this is what we see in law enforcement. This is why law enforcement officers have such a heavy stipulation on you for having the ability to take someone's life and the amount of training that we do. And we don't get enough of it. We don't do enough recurring training. So training is very important, and it's up to you to train. You know, if you're going to do this type of training, you might as well get in physical shape too, because most likely fights go to the ground. I'm 6 foot tall and I'm 310 pounds. Who wants to get on the ground and roll with me? Very few people, right? So speed helps. Understanding how to put people at positions of disadvantage helps, right? And unless you go to these types of training events, you don't have to go to mine. Okay. We're just an option. But you got to go out and you got to get trained so that unfortunate day that ever happens, you can at least have a memory recall and you can say, oh, hold on, I've been here. I need to start doing this, or I need to start doing that. Right. So that's why. Yeah, that's why I harp on training really, really hard.
Well, tell people about what you have coming up December 7th through 10th in Tellico Plains, Tennessee.
So December 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, we're going to be having day and nighttime patrolling, shoot house, scenario-based training, live fire weapons training, communications training, and then basic medical. The whole thing is going to be one big team environment. I'm going to teach you some cool things that you can do in a vehicle. Cool way to actually use your phone to look through super dark tint in vehicles so you can quickly identify things. It's the little, tricks of the trade that I've learned. Those are really the valuable skills. Like when I go to other people's classes, it's those little things that they picked up on that I didn't. And you just keep adding that to your toolbox, so it's going to be fun. It's probably going to be cold. It's probably going to suck. You're going to wear your gear the whole time, but there's a method to this. I want you to get used to embracing pain. It's not going to kill you. I want you to get used to embracing being uncomfortable. It's not going to kill you. I want you to get used to being on your feet all day, because that's going to happen. And it's going to wear you down. One of the things I ask guys all the time, are you tired yet? Are you tired yet? Keep adding all this gear to you. Ounces equal pounds, pounds equals pain. I need a pouch on everything that's Molly, and I need something in every pouch, and I need every tactical thing that I could ever buy. That stuff gets heavy. You got to carry it around. That gun gets heavy. You got to carry it around. You know how many guys who have the AR-500 steel plates? They're like, 10 to 12 pounds a piece. And then they see my plates that are 2 ounces a piece. And they quickly go, I should spend the money and get lighter gear, right? Hey, whatever it is that you invest in, I invest in my gear, night vision rifles. That's why I have high-end gear and I only buy them once. But for a lot of people, they don't know what to buy. They don't know the good stuff. So, that's one of the things I ask people, if you want to look at any of my gear, look at it. You want to wear it, wear it. You want to shoot my gun, shoot my gun. See why I carry everything the way I do. And most of the time I'm out there reevaluating people's kit and readjusting it for them so it's more comfortable. So, it's just trying to help people out, man.
A lot of it is trial and error. I've taken some awesome courses. I've been very fortunate. I've helped teach some other courses, little single day stuff, and you never know what's going to work until you're in a wet, cold, tired environment where your gun is dry and like you're not hitting anything, or you're just miserable because you've been on your feet for 8 hours a day, either in the blazing heat. So, where can people find out more about your courses that you have?
So AmericanVindictaShow.com is our website. Cool. My website sucks and I'm not very good at maintaining it.
Hey, at least you have one. You got us beat, buddy.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I use Squarespace. It's like $400 a year for it.
Oh yeah, nice.
So readymaderesources.com, Robert Griswold you can call and you can sign up for what we do, and then you can see a schedule for what we do for upcoming events. We are currently working on getting a website for our training company. We're going to actually make it a training company. We're going to have a projected calendar. These are all things in the works. Pretty much, at least, if not every month, but every other month, we're going to be holding training. It's either going to be in Texas or it's going to be in Tennessee.
Nice.
We're working with Jamie Walden to eventually get something set up over there. But because it's Colorado, I mean, the snow is just so impactful. So we're going to have to wait for all that to die down. So we're trying to get it so that we can have something in the Rockies, in Texas, and then Tennessee. So we kind of got East Coast, Central, and West Coast covered. And the goal is to get as many people trained and prepared as possible. So
that's awesome. Where are the best places for people to reach you?
American Vindicta Show at gmail.com. If you want to email me about anything, if you want to say Doug stupid flat earth is real, that's fine. I'll say what's up and Jesus loves you. The American Vindicta Show is at gsradio.net, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern time frame. Also on thecommonsenseshow.com.tv with Dave Hodges when we do the Doug and Dave Intel report. We also have a channel for Rumble. It's just American Vindicta Show. And then also on YouTube for now, as long as YouTube still likes me, American Vindicta Show. That's what I update the most is YouTube. You can always listen to the audio files that is on the digital radio. YouTube is pretty much where I do everything now. So
yeah, cool. It's funny you mentioned about your training and getting used to the pain. It reminds me of this thing from Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, where he said that when they would go on their 3 or 4 day training exercises, it really wasn't until like the second or third night or whatever where they ran out of water and they only had like the barley cakes left to choke down, and
onions.
And they're still having to move as a phalanx formation fluidly over these rocks. All the joking has stopped. Everybody's stopped teasing each other and telling funny stories. No one's talking anymore. And I'll never forget a line he put in there, a fellow Marine. He said, that's when the real training begins.
It is. That's what we did to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do for people. Stephen Pressfield's a hero of mine. I have probably read. I'd love to talk to that guy one day. I have actually taught while in Portland, drawing in the dirt, like college level history of Thermopylae. That's what I did. I did a dissertation.
Wall,
Oh yeah, I did the whole thing. I loved it. I loved it. He did the greatest job of any author ever of bringing all that to life. Truly a hero of mine. I have every one of his books.
Yeah.
Every single one of his books.
Same.
In Gates of Fire is something I've probably, now I've read it at least 5 times, but on Audible, I listen to it probably every other month.
That's awesome.
For like
I'm so glad someone spurgs out on Pressfield as much or more than I do.
At least for the last 8 or 9 years, every other month, I listen to Gates of Fire.
Cool.
But I tell men all the time, you should listen to that book. When I was in the Marine Corps, it was mandatory reading.
It's on the Commandant's reading list.
Yeah, there's a reason why. There are stories of valor there that you need to understand. And you also need to understand leadership. Here's can I give you a story out of this?
Yeah.
One of the things that I teach men at my classes is leadership. Being a king as King Leonidas is not the people serving you, but you serving the people. While they're having the Congress that's out there by the Phocian Wall.
I know this. I know exactly what you're about to say. It's awesome.
Yeah. And here is Xerxes' 1,000,000-man army. They're all preparing about a mile or two away. The Greeks, about 4,000 to 7,000 of them is what is estimated. They're sitting there and they're doing what Greeks do. They're arguing. They're talking. One guy actually draws up a blueprint of what the Phocian Wall should look like.
Uh-huh.
And then, one guy will say, we need a wall here. It needs to have palisades. It needs to have steps so our guys can come back on. And then another captain or lieutenant will say, well, no, we need 2 walls. And then another man will say, no, we need 3 walls. Meanwhile, to start this all off, Leonidas takes everybody out there and he says, listen, we have 1 day before they're here, before we invite everyone to the orchestra, the dance floor, right? The wall has to be built. How are we going to do it? Go. Yeah. Okay. This is what a leader does. He then takes his plan and he gives it to the men and makes it their baby, right?
Yeah.
And all they did was argue. Yep. And all they did was argue. And all they did was talk. So leadership then has to be an example. Leonidas goes to the side of the mountain and he picks up a stone. He goes to the middle in between where the cliff face and the mountain is, and he sets it down. And he goes over and he grabs another one and comes and sits it down next to the next one, and then proceeds to do this again and again. And eventually the polemarch Olympius, the guy who's in charge of the actual military, says, are you idiots going to stand there and argue while the king builds the wall? Go build the wall.
Yeah.
So men, last thing I'll tell you, you have to lead by example.
Yes.
You have to be the example first.
Because leadership is sacrifice at its core tenet.
All the time. All the time. And there's a level of compassion there that you also have to have. Remember, the last day, the 4th day, Leonidas is talking to Dionysius. And he says to Dionysius, who is in charge of a platoon, they're staring across at the immortals. And he says to Dionysius, this is the day they all know they're going to die. And he says, do you hate them, Dionysius? And he stands there, and he looks at the king, looks back at him, he says, no, I see many noble men, a few that I would probably welcome to a campfire with a clap on the back. Leonidas agrees and says, I pity them. For how many of them would wish that they could stand here with us to die today?
Yeah.
And that is a king. Remember, that's what was told to Xerxes. That is a king. He doesn't rule by oppression. He doesn't rule by fear. His men love them.
He doesn't rule by money or coercion. He rules by sacrifice and love.
Men, do your families love you like that?
Yeah.
Your friends love you like that? Fix that part of you first, and then we can talk about all this Civil War crap. So be an example. Be an example for the ambassador of Christ that you say you are, right? Be an ambassador for your family. Be the ambassador for your wife. Fix that part first. And then all this will fall in line. You ever see, when you see Stephen Pressfield, tell him I said thank him for that book, because that book helped to reorganize my life.
Absolutely. Listen, we're interviewing him again on the 10th. We'll end with this. I know Nick's eyeballs are probably floating almost as much as mine right now. But we're interviewing him December 10th. We do like this quarterly thing with him because we're all writers. But he's released a new book called The Daily Pressfield, and he's offering the same package that got our foot in the door with talking to him, which is like you order a certain amount of copies, you get a 30-minute Zoom call with him.
Cool.
And which is what he did for Man at Arms. And we just asked him, we were like, hey, that's actually a big reason why this channel got started is we asked him like, hey, we kind of do interviews sometimes. Instead of just making it private, could we make it an interview? And he said, yeah, sure. And we've just been talking to him ever since.
That's awesome.
It works is what I'm saying. I mean, it's a great way to talk to Stephen Pressfield for 30 minutes. So
yeah, it's funny because I'm a writer. I've actually wrote a science fiction story. I have another YouTube channel that's called Wrecker Reads, REKKR Reads, or just READS.
Oh yeah,
I can spell. Okay, and I actually have my own little science fiction story that I wrote. That I think it was Stephen Pressfield who actually helped me to be able to do that. So for men, if you don't have a hobby, I have my wife for my birthday. bought me. She's probably laying down with the baby right now, but I think it's like a 1940s or 1950s Underwood typewriter.
Nice, baby. He's got one right over there, dude. We're
Yep.
typewriter.
Yeah.
We're typewriter fanboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It changes
So
how you write, doesn't it?
Well, I haven't got to use it yet. I'm staring
Okay.
right at it. My wife's gonna clean it all up, polish it up, put the red and black band things in there.
Yeah.
The ink bands, and I'm gonna start writing again
Do it.
because man, how therapeutic!
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it really
Oh.
is. Yeah.
It's very therapeutic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, thank y'all so much for inviting me.
Dude,
Thank you. Thank you for
this.
the
This
time.
has been so pleasant, so nice sitting here, finally being able to, chat with you boys. And anytime y'all want to come on the American Vindicta show and complain
Yeah.
with me about politics, man, you guys are always welcome.
dude,
Right on, man. That
I'd
sounds
be
great.
honored. Absolutely. Doug, this was every bit as awesome as we thought it would be. And
Actually better.
yeah,
I knew it was gonna be a conversation,
Yeah.
but it was
we got a ton
very
of good
meaningful,
material. We got like an hour in the Patreon only of just talking about like Nazis and NASA and like all
good.
sorts of cool stuff. So like, yeah, dude, Doug, we got to have you back. I'm gonna do everything in my power to get out there to see you in the first week of December, and
Rock
then
on.
I'm gonna email you some stuff later on. Yeah, dude, this is awesome. You're such a cool kindred spirit, and we can't wait to have you back. So
Yeah,
next year
man,
when
appreciate it.
and yeah, dude. Well, I mean, I can't talk for this guy, but like, I'll go on your show. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll try
man,
to be.
let's
I'll
do
try
it.
to be nice. All right, Doug.
All right,
Well, I
fellas.
know you've had a super long day, man. Thank you so
you've had
much.
6 YouTube strikes. What's one more?
Yeah, what's one more? Come on. It's a holy number, anyways. Number
Right,
7.
go 7. It's the perfect number. It's perfect.
We'll
Doug
line
with
it up,
American
man.
Vindicta. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Have a great night.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Bye. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this conversation, you like this interview, and you want to hear some more of it, including some down and dirty stuff we're not allowed to say here on YouTube, head on over to patreon.com/the Gosslings, sign up for one of our tiers, and enjoy some exclusive content
That's right. And remember, keep it cool. And these are interviews.
that strike down the darkness.
That's right, baby.
A vertical punch.